Hey, Cata fam, welcome back to Working the Word. I've got to say, I've missed you guys. This is episode 8. We've taken like a 2-3 week hiatus, but I think it's been super important. If you guys are astute, you'll notice that I have a guest star with us. You want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure, my name is Alvaro Lopez, and was asked to come and share some experience, strength, and hope. And I am happy, grateful, and blessed to be able to do so.
Oh, man, I'm super excited. So this episode is actually a request, and you guys know we have been pandering for requests since we have started. Our last episode was a request, and it was most assuredly our most successful episode. It's got the most views. I think it touched a lot of people. But I think a subject like this, addiction, is so important, especially in Carroll County. I don't think a lot of people realize how heavily Carroll County was affected by, addiction, and not just drug addiction, alcoholism, just in general, but we got hit hard. We got hit hard by the opioid epidemic, and especially methamphetamines too. It's been huge. So this is a really relevant topic, and especially as Christians, I think this is one of those topics where people are gun shy about. They feel like they don't want to condone a lifestyle they don't agree with, but I think in a lot of ways people miss that we're supposed to seek the 99 or the one. It's not just the 99. So this is one of those subjects that we have to hit with compassion and love. And so I'm super grateful you're here, man. And we've got to talk a couple times, and I've always really appreciated your perspective, but not enough. I think this is our first sit down, so I'm excited. Yeah, if you're comfortable with it, I would sincerely appreciate if you would, kind of jump into a testimony. I know you said before this you could do 5 minutes or an hour. Yeah. I would love to get the hour version eventually, but give us like a good, solid testimony, and so we know who you are.
And that's the thing, is that like I could give 6 hours, and the reason I say I could give 6 is because I could literally give you 4 or 5 hours of just what it's been like in recovery.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Just the miracles that I've seen in this new life that I've been given. Because what's the most important thing in my life today is not where I've been,
right,
but where I'm going. And where I'm going is completely like contingent upon what I do today.
Yeah.
Right? So what I did before was I drank a lot. I drugged a lot. My drug of choice was what do you got? But with
you weren't picky, huh?
No, and that's the thing is, I think that a lot of times with alcoholism and addiction, there's like a duality. Sometimes it's a thing of people pleasing, or sometimes it's the thing where like depression, or sometimes it's a thing where anxiety. Whatever mental thing that we have, sometimes we use drugs and alcohol.
You're self-medicating, absolutely, yeah.
And for me, it was a combination. But I think most of it was people pleasing.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was the youngest of 3. I was amongst the younger cousins, so it was. Is this cool? Oh, is cussing cool? Is smoking cigarettes cool? Is drinking alcohol cool? Is smoking weed cool?
Right.
Is so on and so forth.
Right.
And that's the, I'm not shy to say, doing cocaine and there were some methamphetamines experiences, but for the most part, for me, it was alcohol and marijuana, and they were readily available.
Right.
But there were also instances where like cocaine played a big part of my life, where it was like every single night we had to call the guy first, and we had to make sure that we got it. And where I ended up was just a person that carried a lot of shame and embarrassment and tried to mask it with anything.
Right.
I tried to make it seem like I wasn't hurting like I was. And eventually it was the consequences that got me to the point where I'm at today.
Ignore that. I apologize.
That's okay.
That was like 17 in a row. We'll pretend that's not there. It was a church text. It's funny. Keep going.
That's good. So it was the consequences. And that's the thing, is that when I was in my heavy addiction, like I could only see surface level things.
Yeah.
So the surface level thing that I saw was, okay, here's another DUI. Here's the 4th time I've been pulled over for DUI. This is the 10th time I think I've gone to jail. Like I lose count. I always try to remember what all happened. And what ended up happening was I got sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
And I went home and was ready to spark up because poor pitiful me.
Yeah, that's how you solve problems. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got another DUI, and I was on probation in Douglasville, so I didn't smoke because I was worried about going to see the probation officer. Now, early in my recovery, I would have lied to you, but God came to me and said, "Don't do it, son." And I've realized like there's no need to lie about it. Like, and here's the thing: is like now that I look back on it and I have a different perspective, I feel like God maybe put me in that place at that time so that if it would have happened a month later, for instance, I wouldn't have been on probation in Douglasville,
right?
And I would have sparked up because that was my answer then.
That's what kept you. You didn't want a hot test, so you were staying on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
I got you.
So what ended up happening was that happened on a Sunday. My last drink, my last driving drunk episode, because I used to drive drunk all the time. I wrecked it. I totaled my dad's work van. Got arrested, got out, and at that point, I thought my parents were about to kick me out of the house.
Right? Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
I was 32 years old. I was working for my dad at the time, and when I say working for my dad, I mean literally working days that I wasn't hungover.
Yeah.
Like it was nothing for me to like, oh, I'm not going to work today.
Oh
like
man.
You know, like it was.
Yeah.
My dad should have fired me years ago, and. What ended up happening was I was in my room for about a week, and in that week, I literally just turned on the TV to watch something, and it was a show. I kid you not, it was the first show I picked just because an actor I liked in it, Will Arnett, was in this show called Flaked.
Okay.
And this show is not popular at all, but I decided to watch it, and it was about Alcoholics Anonymous.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm sitting there with my goodies over here and like watching this show about Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's not at all like the show. Don't watch the show and think this is what AA
have
is.
those expectations.
Yeah. But what ended up happening was I went to AA that following Sunday, and I remember I told my mom, I said, "Hey, tomorrow at 9:30 there's a AA meeting that I'd like to go to." She goes, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." And you know, that's funny, dude. Like that wreck happened on a Sunday. It took my mom like 4 days to come talk to me.
Wow.
Like she didn't come. She came to my room on a Wednesday. She goes, I don't know what to do with you.
Yeah.
She said, I've prayed as much as I possibly can pray. I don't know what to do. And I said, look, I'm done. I swear, I'm done. And then that Sunday, I told her I'd go to AA. And then here's the funny part about that is that I came into Alcoholics Anonymous 16 years long of saying God is make-believe. He's imaginary. Yeah. He's not real. And when I got to Alcoholics Anonymous, I made a very quick realization, and that was that the happiest people, the people that smiled the most, the people that looked you in the eye the most, were the people that were in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous talking about a higher power. Okay. And every now and then someone would say a higher power who I choose to call God. So I said to myself, well, maybe I'm wrong about this. And the funny part about that is I've known Ben since I was 10. He moved into my neighborhood when I was 10 years old.
What a small world.
Yeah.
What a small world. That's funny.
And he used to, preach at Christ Fellowship, and I would see him, and I'm like, dude, you are freaking awesome, man. If you ever start a church, I'll be there. He had started Catalyst in January of 2018, I think, or 17.
I know we're about 8 years old, so that makes sense.
It was about then. I was there in May, right? Because my last drink was in May 7th, May 14th, I showed up to church, and his little brother Brock used to come. Yep. I said, hey, Brock, save me a seat, I'll be there. And when I got to Catalyst, there was a song that was sung that I'm not good at worship songs, but like one of them was like, no matter where we've been, no matter what we do, he still loves us or something along those lines. I bawled.
Yeah. Yeah.
I cried for the next, it was 15 or 20 minutes. Like all I did was like ugly face, like
Just
pouring,
snot
pouring
bubble.
out,
Yeah, I got you.
pouring out.
Right.
And I've yet to feel that much, like, just like release.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I've been a Catalyst ever since. My attendance has been not as great with this new kid, Anna Grace.
Man,
Anna Grace,
we get that.
Yeah, Anna Grace is not great in the nursery, but I'm just using excuses. There's other Sundays where I'm just being lazy and don't want to come. So I've been better about that this last year, and I'm aware of that. And like once again, like I'm supposed to be telling you about all these war stories and all this stuff that happened in the past, but it's like the stuff that's happening today, like even this idea where I'm working on, 7-8 years of sobriety. My worst year in sobriety was this last year.
Yeah.
And my last year in sobriety was because I wasn't coming to church. I wasn't going to meetings. I wasn't doing this. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't doing the third. And there's just like this idea where it's just like, oh, everything's going to be great and it's only going to get better when you're sober. It's like, no. If I don't put in the legwork,
Yep.
if I don't put in what I need to have that conscious contact with God, to have that relationship with God, to have those inner thoughts about God, then my thoughts are elsewhere. And my thoughts elsewhere are usually me, myself, and I.
Yeah. Yep.
And when
They're
it's me, myself,
selfish.
and I, man, I find God in my brother. You know what I'm saying? Like there's always like, oh, you gotta find God here, da, da, da. Bro, he's right there in your brother. And that's why I come to things like this. So that's why whenever somebody asks me, hey, can you help with this, that, and the other? Like, I think that God put me on this earth to be this arrogant little poop head. And to get to a place where I could tell a devout Christian that they're dumb for believing what they believe.
Yeah.
And to go through the world like this arrogant poop head that got to a place where he couldn't look at himself in the mirror.
Yeah.
To be the person that I am today that is grateful for that time because I can compare and contrast.
Right.
Like, here's life without God. Here's life with God. I'll take God.
Yeah. But, well, I think that first, I really appreciate you being vulnerable. And it's already so much better than I could have anticipated because you've touched on so many things that are so important that need to be communicated. Because the first thing that you really said that touched me was that it's less about where you were and where you are now. And where you are now made those things worth it, number one. Number two, something else that you said that really touched me, and I want to really be communicated here, was that those things didn't make you too dirty for God. You felt that,
That's right.
and you saw that in yourself, right? But that true healing and that reconciliation happened when you turned back to Him.
That's right.
Right? And the same thing with the sobriety, because addiction, obviously it's the substance, of course, but it's also a combination of our own faculties. Like you said, we're self-medicating. Oh man, I've got depression, I've got anxiety, I've got schizophrenia. And some like methamphetamines can induce schizophrenia, but a lot of people do self-medicate, and so when they're trying to get clean and they're not doing it with something that will cognitively pull you out of that, it's easy for you to go, well, what did I do when I was depressed before? How did I solve my depression before? And it's not just a chemical dependence, it's a cognitive dependent. Holy crap, I have much mouth. A cognitive dependence, and so the faith component is massive, because when we're surrendered to God and we're walking in God's plan, He's gonna shift us and He's gonna align our heart with His. But also, there's that mental component that I think is so imperative, and you really highlight that. Sure. Okay, I think that's a great testimony, and I definitely feel like I understand you a little better now. So I've got some questions. You looked through them, you approved them, so I'm gonna sling them at you.
Sure.
So the first one I want to ask you, can you share a little bit about your journey, kind of where you began before your addiction really took hold? You might have been flirting with it, whatever, but where were you when you first started kind of flirting with that addiction?
It was high school.
Okay.
It was high school because the thing about high school is that, like, I always wanted to be more popular.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people fall
and
into
I
that
always
trap.
wanted to be cooler.
Yeah.
And then when I realized the cool stuff that happens at high school parties when you mix alcohol in them,
Right.
it's like, okay, I found it. And here's the thing, just to get scientific on you for just a second. So when I ingest alcohol,
Right.
it's an upper.
Yeah.
The way that my cells in my body break down alcohol, it's an upper. Like the room doesn't spin when I drink.
Okay.
Like, don't get me wrong, I have enough. I can't walk, right? But
Yeah.
the room doesn't spin.
Okay.
Like, for instance, like when my cousin, she gets off of work and she has a margarita. She goes, ooh, it feels like warm inside and wants to relax.
Right.
No, not me.
That's not how you feel.
When I drink, I'm like, ooh, let's go. Time for another one. You know what I'm saying? And that hasn't changed.
Right.
Like to this day, when I hear about people having 3 or 4 beers, I'm like, why?
How can you do that?
Why?
Yeah.
No, not just how to get do it. You could have 3 or 4 Coca-Colas.
Oh, I got what you mean. I apologize.
Tastes better than beer. No, but also that,
Yeah.
like, no, not so much how could you, because now I'm aware that, like, for me, 1 drink is too many and 1,000 is never enough.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that now. But before, like, I had a cousin of me one time. She was like, why don't you just have like 5 or 6? I was like, for what? Why? Like, I came here to get tore up. And I to this day, I don't, I'm like, nah, I don't see the point in that. So, yeah, it was definitely high school where I started. And then it was, my first job out of high school was working at the Lazy Donkey.
Okay.
And I met some guys in fraternity, joined a fraternity, and there it was just like
Cascades from there.
Well, that's the thing is that in a fraternity, you've always got somebody to drink with.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. That's another thing that I suffered from was denial and dishonesty. And the person I was most dishonest and denial with is to myself.
Yep.
Because I would say, well, I'm not an alcoholic because I'm not drinking by myself. I'm out here with all my friends and blah, 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 blah. Well, let me tell you something. Towards the end, like, I would say, hey, let's go grab a drink. And we would go, right? Then at some point, I'll be right back. And I would go just wander off.
Oh.
And be like, why are you leaving? It's like, because I didn't know then that, like, I'm not here for you guys anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not here for the camaraderie. I'm not here to hang out. I'm here to have a drink everywhere and see what's going on everywhere, because right here isn't enough. And I just wasn't aware of what was going on. But it's like, it's funny how just like that, like progression of where alcoholism and addiction took me. And what it did was, once again, I finally got it, my brother, isolation.
Yeah.
Isolation is what it did for me.
That vacuum is so dangerous because you're the only person to backstop that thought. You're the only person to back. And so when your faculties are skewed, there is no backstop. You're just doing what you want.
Yeah.
And now on the other side of it, we know the heart's deceitful among all things. You can't just follow your heart. It's full of malarkey. You can't just follow it. And I think that college too, I've got quite a few friends that similar journey and got sucked into binge drinking. And so they weren't your traditional alcoholics where they're drinking to function or cope. Yeah. But once they start, they can't stop. Mm-hmm. And that frat environment is a really easy gateway to that. But that point segues into my next question. And when did you realize that you had a problem? When did you go from, where was that transition from, I'm just having a good time with my brothers, to this might be an issue? This might be something I'm actually battling.
Hard to say. Because there was never, I just thought this was par for the course.
Okay.
Because that's the thing is that, like, once again in high school, I played baseball, right?
Right.
But then my baseball buddies didn't drink like I did.
Right.
So I had to get new friends. And my new friends, we were getting DUIs in high school, right? We were drinking and driving. We were totaling cars. So, like, that was normal because I surrounded myself with like-minded people. Yeah. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Man, that's scary. Yeah. But you're right.
And that's the thing, when I joined the fraternity, like, I don't think there were that many alcoholics in the fraternity. There were people who had problems with drinking. There were binge drinkers. But to say that, that person was an alcoholic, there might have been more than I realized. But
yeah, when you're just kids and you don't, not everyone develops a habit. But I get what you're saying.
So I forgot where my train of thought was.
No, I think you answered the question pretty well. I think that was a pretty solid answer.
Remind me what the question was.
So the question was, when did you realize it was a problem? But for you, you said it was hard to say because you were just doing it. It was
I just
normal.
surrounded myself with other people who are doing the same things that I was doing. But by the time in the late stages of my drinking,
Right.
I'm still me and 2 or 3 other guys are the only ones getting DUIs now. Like, we're 30, bro. Like you're not young and dumb. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not 21, 22 making a dumb choice. Like, you're still blackout drinking every single week. Like, that's something you're still doing. And it became aware, like, okay, this is not great. And it took a long time for me to realize, like, okay, this is a problem.
So that it just naturally segues into the next question. So what was the low point that made you realize you had it? What was that point when you probably touched on it on your testimony a little bit, but there's always that kind of, not to be a little on the nose, but there's that catalyst, when you're going through your addiction, whatever, and then that truck hits and you go, oh no, this is an issue. I'm trapped in this now. Do you feel like you had that? Or do you think that last DUI you mentioned was that low point? You're like, I got to do something.
Basically.
Okay.
But at the same time, that low point was almost like the last 2 years of my drinking. Like, it's hard to like really pinpoint, but it was just like I was only drinking basically to survive. Like, I was not thriving, I was surviving. But yeah, I mean, I guess you would have to say that it was the last DUI. It was the fear of the consequences. It was like, dude, I'm so freaking tired.
You're just tired of it. Well, I think that so many, especially people who are outside of addiction, it's hard to see it, and everyone expects this grandiose, pig pen experience that brings you out of it. But the truth is, a lot of addicts don't have that. What they have is exactly like you've talked about, where they've been quagmired in this, and there's an extended period of time where they're just living life in the habits they created, and don't realize that they're in a pit, and so number one, you can be blind to it. Number two, you don't realize the effect it's having, because something that you said that is, especially with drinking too, I've had some experience with that. You kind of get tunnel vision, and so life does tend to be, it's what's in front of you.
Well, and one more thing too, though, is that like in those last years, there's always like experimentation. Like, how can I make this work? Like, I tried, don't do liquor. I tried, okay, do liquor, but then do water. I actually bought a breathalyzer.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, okay, if I stay around like, 0.16, 0.18, I'll be good. And, like, it's so crazy that the things that I thought were good ideas are satire in TV shows.
Yeah.
I don't watch the show. It's just not for me.
If you're about to
Trailer
mention
Park
the show.
Boys.
Oh, man, I was just thinking about Leahy and his breathalyzer.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I watched it. I was like, oh, crap. That's
Dude,
exactly what like my thought process was. And this thing is like satire for instance, I saw like in the movie Wedding Crashers.
Yeah.
The guy's like, and after I got out of rehab for my 3rd time, like that's a joke in the movie, but I know people who've been in rehab 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So like it's it's funny, but it's not, because like I can look back on it and I can laugh about it.
Right.
But that's only because I was lucky enough and grateful, or desperate enough, not grateful, because I wasn't grateful yet.
Yeah.
But I was desperate enough to like seek another answer. Because like I said, for the longest time, I was like, I'll do it like this, I'll do this, I'll do that, blah, 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 blah. Nothing worked.
Well, I think that's and obviously we're going to get to this point soon, but when you start applying your faith, and it's not specific to addiction, it's really any sinful habit that we have. We don't realize that we're making concessions for it in our lives. God tells us, it's me or it's something else. You can't have it both. And sometimes that's the way we worship something else, is making those concessions and that place for it in our lives. And when you start doing that, whatever it is, it might not be, it could be pornography. Sure. It could be an affair. It could be rage, whatever it is. When you start making concessions for whatever that monster is, that's where it starts to cascade over your life. That's where it starts to bear fruit, because you're going to bear fruit one way or the other. It's going to be positive fruit or negative fruit.
That's right.
That's where that fruit really starts to play and starts to affect your life. That was a good answer. Now, let me ask you, and this is more faith-based. When you were in the throes of your addiction, now you were an atheist, so I guess this isn't the best question, but at what point did you feel God start calling you, and did you start correlating that? And when you were struggling, did you feel like God was distant, or did you feel like he was there guiding you? I know that's a loaded question, but...
So, because I was atheist,
right,
I didn't pray. But boy, I sure did blame God for stuff.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
It's funny how that works.
Like, boy, I say GD all up and down through them years. Like, this happened, and it's God's fault, But that's the thing is, like I had said before, like I had already made up my mind that just wasn't a real thing. But like I said, if he was there, it was only to condemn him. And that's the thing is, like, there was a complete switch where, like, in addiction, it's God's fault.
Yeah.
I'm over here just trying to do my thing.
You're just vibing, doing your thing. Yeah.
Right. And it's God's fault. And now it's like, dude, 99% of my problems are my fault.
But that's a huge paradigm
to this day. Like, it ain't, God is doing his thing,
Yeah.
I'm the one, like, perfect example. I didn't know about gap insurance.
Okay. Right.
A tree fell on my car. Insurance says we're going to give you this much. Like, well, do you have gap insurance? I said no. Yeah, that's a little lesson I learned in life,
Yep.
But once again, this is my fault. But in my addiction, I said, well, God dang, blah blah blah.
Yep.
This person didn't explain it to me, and blah blah. No, like, so for anyone out there listening, get gap insurance.
Yes,
right.
Yes, gap insurance is important.
Yeah.
Yep. Especially if you're being cavalier with your cars.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That was a good answer. I really like that. So you found your faith in recovery.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to assume that the 12 steps were a part of that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So how did you discover the 12-step program, and what role did it play? How did it really affect your sobriety? I know that's a loaded question, but I think that this is so important.
So there's a saying, and it's God brought me to AA, and AA brought me to God.
I like that. Okay. That's cool.
So because what happened was, what had happened, I thought Alcoholics Anonymous was like a room where you go and you complain, and
right.
you talk about the ex-wife, and you talk about the boss, and you talk about the teenager that's pissing you off. That's what I thought you did in the rooms. But it didn't take me long to realize that, like, oh, wait a second. No. We are using a higher power to relieve us of our powerlessness. So we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. That powerlessness, that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem that we have in alcoholism and addiction. Is like, we do not have power over the thing that has power over us.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, like, okay, let's get scientific again for a second. If you look at the brain of an alcoholic when they're watching a beer commercial, the whole brain
just
is lighting the crap up, right? But if you look at someone who drinks, normally, casually, it's just this one little pleasure, boop,
yep.
boop. But for us, like, we got to a point where we have a spiritual malady that's the result of a mental obsession. That's the result of a physical malady. And this physical malady, like I said, it's a phenomenon of craving.
Yeah.
Like, people think, the people, when, at least in the rooms of AA, when you say you have the phenomenon of craving, it's not that you're by yourself and you see a beer commercial and you're craving it. No. That craving hits when the beer hits your lips.
Yeah.
If I were to drink right now, okay, where's my next one coming?
Yeah. Now you're right back where you started.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that's the thing, is that, like, I didn't, and it took me a little bit longer to realize that the steps are the program.
Yeah.
Like I just thought like, oh, we're just gonna hang out and be all buddy and be friends and we're gonna talk about God and alcohol free, woo! Like that's what I thought it was.
Right.
It's like no.
No, there's a real cost.
Yeah.
There's a toll to this.
There's literature, there's steps, there's sponsorship, there's working with others, there's morning prayers, there's something I need to do at night before I go to bed. Like there's a lot to it. There was a lot more than just showing up to a room.
Yeah.
And just like doing this. Because that's what I did in my first 3 or 4 months of sobriety. And then I got a sponsor. It's like, okay, like, enough of what you think the program is. Let's get into what the actual program is.
Let's get in the meat and potatoes of it.
And when it's all said and done with, like, the program, all it does is like, it's like, okay, let me introduce you to God, okay? Now, let's take a look at ourselves. Let's discover ourselves a little bit. Okay, now let's discard some of this crap that you've been carrying.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's like, okay, now let's establish relationships. Like that's the steps 8 and step 9 where we make amends and things of that nature.
Yeah, which I really admire. I like that.
Yeah. And then steps 10, 11, and 12, that's where I'm building this relationship with God that it can be as strong as I want to make it.
Yeah.
You know, it just depends. Like, because I hear people say it sometimes, how free do you want to be?
Man, I like that. It's something that I really, I admire addicts who find their faith and grab it, because I find a lot of times these cats believe. Yeah. These guys really believe. And I think, number one, you know, to really bring yourself out of that and find victory, that takes a faith. It takes a legitimate faith and a relationship with God. But I think that these steps too are such a vehicle. Like the Beatitudes, you know, we did an episode on the Beatitudes. The Beatitudes in a lot of ways are stair step into how to apply your faith, what your faith's going to look like as you walk in it. And I feel like it's very similar with the 12 steps, because it immediately starts you brass tacks. This is God, this is you. This is where God wants you, this is what you're doing. You know what I mean? And it makes you focus on your relationship and because that's a part of it. You know, a lot of people just come in and go, you know, Jesus died for my sins, I'm saved. Woo! And that's the extent of what they're doing.
Yeah.
But with something like this, there's a walk, there's a step, and it is a day to day. Because the thing is, you know, you talk about alcoholism and how, you know, you watch a beer commercial and then just the receptors light up. You know, you take something like opioids, for example, which is, like I said, really relevant to this area. It will physiologically change you. Your body will physically hurt so that you will want to numb the pain. You know, methamphetamines will physiologically change you to want that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So there's a battle that you're fighting that the rest of us don't fight. And having that framework of being able to set your appetites aside. Because the truth is, no matter what you're walking in, no matter what your struggle, because we all struggle, we all have sins, that's universal. You know, whatever you're struggling with, it could be, I go back to pornography, but I think that's something that's very relevant in our culture. It's so, you know, you take these cell phones, it's so accessible, right? But the same principles are applicable. You know, you take a step back, you take responsibility for your triggers, you take responsibility for, hey, this is what draws me into it, and I know when I'm feeding myself spiritually, I don't feel that. And so I appreciate you, you know, talking about that, because I think it's a big deal. My next question was, how do the 12 steps align with biblical truth? But I feel like I kind of just touched that. Sure. Just for my own curiosity, do you feel like there was a single biblical principle or story that really sucked you in and gave you hope? Or do you think just the entire journey as a whole really jump-started your faith? I know that's a loaded question, but
here's the thing is, I need to go ahead and memorize not only the verse, but the chapter and like the exact wording of it.
We won't beat you up for that here, don't worry.
Well, here's the thing. Like, the moment, like, where, like, what I've learned in Alcoholics Anonymous and what I've heard at Catalyst and what I just believe to be, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, my principles. Or, like, the standard that I want to live by. Once again,
no, I think I
need to get these verses going. But Pharisee says to Jesus, what's the new covenant?
Right.
What did he say? He said, love God, love thy neighbor as thyself.
Yeah, that's actually a
getting
really
pretty
good
close?
synopsis. Basically, the Pharisee says, what's God's most important commandment? And it's that we love God with all our heart, all our mind, and all of our soul. I might be misspeaking on that. It's also an ad lib. But then, yes, and then Jesus says also that we love our neighbor. So, yes, it might not be the exact wording, but you're spot on. That's good.
But that's what I carry into my life. Like,
Okay.
the rest of this stuff, this, that, and the other, like, bro, if I love God and I love my brother, if I love my sister, everything falls into place. Like, you don't covet someone's wife that you love. You don't steal from somebody.
Right.
You don't kill someone that you love. You don't hurt someone that you love. So if I'm bringing these principles into my life, then I'm good. And that's the thing that happens in the recovery community. Like, when someone comes in to a room, you can tell, oh man, he's hurting.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something, the more pain you look like you're in, the better off you are.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing is like, that pain means there's some recovery.
Yeah.
You can't recover from something if you're not in pain.
If you're not feeling it and convicted by it, you're not going to run from it.
So that's the thing is that, like, if I treat that alcoholic or that addict that walks through that door with all this love because we have this common bond and this, that, and the other, I need to carry that same energy into the world wherever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether you agree with me, whether you don't, whatever, that doesn't matter. Because when I need to love everybody for who they are, where they are, when they are. You know?
What you're saying is actually how Jesus culminates that point too, because he says exactly that. He says that the point of the commandments and the law rests on those two concepts. That's right. He specifically says that. And what you just touched on is, I think, just it's paramount. It's so important because American Christian culture is very divided, and there's a lot of them and they and us, and that's relevant because you take addiction, you take sexuality, you take politics, you take these subjects that are so divisive, and people forget exactly what you just said, right? My job is not to change you, because the truth is there's only two people in this world that can change someone, themselves or Jesus, truthfully. Yeah. So if I come into this, whatever it is, and I go, well, I'm here to change you, I'm not doing my job. My job is to be a light on the hill. It's to be a mirror for Christ's character. And so that through my fruit, you can see who he is. And I think what you said applies to that so much, and it's how we're called to carry ourselves as Christians. So it's not just relevant to recovery, but it's true for who we're called to be. No matter where we're at.
And real quick,
yeah,
I don't do that remotely perfectly.
No, I don't think anybody
close.
can pull that off. Yeah,
and the thing about it is that, like, okay, let's say I wake up, grab my phone,
right?
Oh, new text message, new voicemail, new blah 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 blah, right? And then I walk out into the world, right? That's not the way that, like, I can prepare myself,
Right.
But if I wake up and I say something along the words of this, if I say, God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me, to do with me as thou wilt, relieve me the bondage of self that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I'd help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always.
I like that.
That's one of my favorite prayers. That's called the third step prayer. And the seventh step prayer is a close second. The prayer of St. Francis, that's up there too. But I just like that third step prayer that's like, bro, how can I be of service to you?
Man, I love
how
that
can
so
I get
much.
myself out of the equation? And let's just let this be about you and how I can help others. Because I think that's the secret to life.
I would agree with you.
You know what I'm saying?
Wholeheartedly, yeah.
Because when it's all said and done with, like, if I'm hungry, I'm going to get something to eat.
Right.
If I'm cold, I'm going to get a blanket.
Right.
If I'm hot, I might take my shirt off, right?
Right.
But if I can learn to give you the shirt, if I can learn to give you the water, that's where beautiful things happen.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. It's that's where we start to be exactly what we just said. You start to be that mirror for Christ's character. You know, could you imagine what the world would look like if we all lived our life based off that love? You know what I mean? And I mean real love, where just like you said, I just want to make sure you're not cold. I just want to make sure you're thirsty. I just want to love you the way I'm supposed to love my neighbor.
That's right.
And I love that. And I think you already kind of just touched on my next question, which is, can you describe a moment where you really feel like God started guiding you? You know, because to pray a prayer like that, you're literally saying, God, I'm your tool. Here I am. Use me. What point in your life do you feel like that took root, and what's the effect been? What's that been like?
It happened in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's the thing, is just because, like, before I got in AA, and that's the thing, I was raised Catholic.
Right.
So from the time I can remember to the 18 years old, I was in church. But here's the thing: they used to give me the body and blood of Christ, and then they'd say, "Go pray."
Yeah.
You want to know what I prayed about?
What you pray? I do want to know.
Me, myself, and I. Not nobody else.
Yep.
It's like, ooh, what do I need? What could God bless me with, right? And that's where, like, in recovery is where, like, oh, I can pray for other people. That's what's up, man. Like, I'm telling you, it was foreign to me. It was foreign to me.
I think that's important. A lot of people don't even know, and I understand. I think everyone, no matter where you're at in your walk, you can struggle with your prayer life. It ebbs and flows. That happens. But a lot of people don't really even know where to start or how to start. And so a lot of people do just kind of, and their prayer life is shallow because they're asking for me. You're asking for my, and the funny thing is, you know, when you're kind of personifying it when you're talking about your recovery, because from what I understand, you know, you were an atheist, you got tired of it, you go to recovery, and you start to see, like, hey, these guys that have faith, they're rocking it.
Yeah.
They're actually out here doing it. And so their fruit and their demeanor start to have an impact on you. I just lost my train of thought. My brain just ADHD squirreled on me so hard.
Prayer life, praying for others.
Yes, man, I'm glad you're here. You're a keeper, man. Okay,
Yeah.
so you see the fruit, you start seeing how that happens, and so that walk starts to happen. And for so many people, that's how their journey into faith starts. There's somebody they see, but the beautiful thing is as you start to immerse in that, your heart's going to align with God's heart.
That's right.
And you might not even realize it.
No.
And so the power of your prayer life when you're praying for things that are in the will of God,
That's right.
He answers those prayers.
Yeah.
He shows up on those prayers, you know? So I think just hearing you talk, you're giving us those boots on the ground application. And it's so important to, and like I said before, it's not just addiction. These things are applicable to all faith-based principles.
I just got to say this real quick before I forget. One of my favorite things is God answers all prayers. He says, yes, no, maybe, wait.
I like that. I like
he
that.
He answers them all. He answers all
true.
prayers. Yeah. Because
like
that's
that.
the thing is, had he answered the prayers I had been praying for before, I'd be in a rough place.
It'd be catastrophic.
Thank God he didn't answer those prayers. And thank God that my prayers are just a little bit better guided today. Like I said, if I'm praying for something for myself, it's because this thing that I'm praying for myself will make someone else's life better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, God, make me a better husband. God, make me a better father.
Man, that's
God, make me a better brother. It's not like, God, give me this.
Yeah.
God, I need that.
Like, hey, man, that new truck, that King Ranch is looking sharp, Lord. I need you
I'm
to.
a Chevy guy.
Yeah, are you? I could do Chevy. I get it. I get it. Okay, Matt, I think that was a great answer, and you're really this is surpassing my expectations. I really am grateful. Okay, I think we've discussed it, but I want to touch on it. How do you feel like people of faith really affected your journey, and how did they help you start walking this out? You know, because clearly we can already see that you being in AA and seeing these guys really had an effect. But can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it seemed like the people that were the happiest were the people that talked about God.
Right.
And then to compound that, I would come to Catalyst.
Yeah, you get that double dose.
And when I came to Catalyst, the people that I saw with their hands raised the most. The people that I saw, and don't get me wrong, I'm not that guy that's in worship doing these things.
Yeah, I got you.
And nothing against it, it's just not my thing. But nonetheless, like I see the joy that people get when they are in worship, and it has a profound effect on me.
Yeah.
Like I can feel that. Like that empathy that I like, man, they really love that song.
Yeah.
That song really hit them. And so like I get to like, get that contact high, I guess, if you will.
That's a good way to put it, especially considering the subject matter.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to put it.
And so like I said, man, it just, and the flip to that, right? The most miserable people I see
Didn't have God.
don't have God.
It's
The
funny.
most miserable people I see are the people that struggle the most with alcoholism and addiction, or the people that cannot buy into this God thing.
Yeah.
Now, that's not always the case. Don't let me paint with a broad brush. There's people who are atheists who are in recovery.
There are people that can just bowl through.
Right.
You're absolutely correct.
But from my personal experience, what I have seen are people who embrace the concept of God, the concept of a higher power who's loving and forgiving and just wants the best for you are the ones that succeed.
That really did it.
Maybe edit this out. Fair warning. Like, I wasn't raised in it.
Right.
But if someone told me, hey, if you don't do this, you're going to go to hell, I guess we're going to hell then. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna sell me with that.
Well, a lot of people it's become we're going to hell. Well, I'm driving the bus. Who hasn't heard that joke?
I'm riding shotgun.
Yeah. Now it's almost like a party disclaimer. Like people are cavalier with it and don't realize, hey man, you're making some dangerous declarations.
Yeah.
So I get that.
So like that's the thing is that's what
we're not editing that, by the way. That's good. We're keeping that's gold.
Sure, but that's the thing that got me with Alcoholics Anonymous was like it allowed me to find a God that I found that was loving and nurturing and wanted me to be at peace and wanted me to be happy and be serene and all these things and that's the thing is even to this day like I don't drink out of fear of getting drunk. I don't drink because of the benefits and like the dreams that have come true in my life because I gave it to God.
You see
like,
where
if I don't
he's
give
walking,
it to God, I'm not married. I don't have my child. I don't have the relationship I have with my mother. I don't have the relationship I have with my sister, my brother, my dad.
Yeah.
Like all of your relationships are crap because they were crap before I put God first. So like I don't wake up every day, I better not drink today because if I do, I'm going to get drunk and I'm going to ruin everything. No, like I thank God like, hey, thank you for another day of sobriety. Thank you for another day that I get to walk into this world and hopefully do your bidding to the best of my abilities.
Man, that's good. I something that you keep touching on that I think is so important too. You keep talking about joy and different flavors of that and happiness but the people you're talking about are people that are coming out of, and again, this is one of those principles that's applicable to wherever you're at in your walk or whatever you're struggling with. The thing is people expect, and I know this wasn't your point, but it hit me, so I got to say it. People expect, man, when you find that, like, I got faith now, I'm walking in this, that life's not going to still kick you in the head.
That's right.
Right? In fact, the word tells you that's going to, the world's here, it's going to kick you in the head. That's what it does. Yeah. But Jesus tells us that we can have joy in the middle of that. But the boots on the ground application of that is what you just said. When I'm walking with God and I'm following him, I apply those principles everywhere, right? I'm a child of God when I'm with my wife. I'm a child of God when I'm with my kids. I'm a child of God when I'm with my brothers or I'm at work. And when those principles cascade through your life, there is joy. Even when the world is beating you down, you can find a place where I'm doing it with God. I'm doing it with what he's given me, and I know that he's going to be with me on the other side. And it really gives you a strength and a hope that you wouldn't have had before. Yeah. And that's that source of that joy. It's that rest in Christ. And that's to find that. A lot of people my dad always talks about it almost like that first heroin high, where you hit it and it's like you get saved. You're like, oh, man, that was so incredible, and then you spend the rest of your faith chasing that. But I feel like when you really figure out how to apply them to your life, you find that joy and you can live in that.
Yeah.
You can live in that moment, like that salvation moment. That could be your life.
Yeah.
You just got to keep following him.
And just real quick, like, it's funny, like, the like highest highs I've ever had. Well, that's not necessarily true, but some of the highest highs I ever had
Right.
was in my drinking and drugging.
Yeah.
Like, I had a blast here. I did this. I went to a concert one time, took some mushrooms, and it was wow, blah 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 blah. Right.
Yeah.
But then my lowest lows, you know, when I did flip a van 5 times right next to a kid's birthday party.
Yeah, it's wild.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when I did drive blackout drunk and had my car sitting on 3 tires, one of the tires were gone, right? Like all these, like, I don't have those highs and lows today.
Right.
Like, I'm just at a place where, like, I'm comfortable and I'm good. And that's not to say that, like, I don't get these high moments, because every now and again, like, dude, I can just look at my daughter.
Oh, man.
And she can just do something, and it'll bring me the most joy, like, that I would never have had, you know, in my drinking days. There's no comparison to, like, look at this blessing that I have. It's just nothing like it.
Yeah.
And that's touching into parenthood, and you'll know when you have a kid.
Right.
But nonetheless, it's like that's a gift that God gave us.
Right. Well, I think that's relevant because a lot of addicts I know are also parents, and a lot of them are in relationships where they're estranged from their kid. And I think that's important because most of those addicts haven't given up hope of being with their kids or having their kids. They're just lost at the moment, you know? So I'm glad that you said that. And the thing is that's applicable to your father-son relationship, your mother-son relationship. Any of those relationships are true, but to really feel fulfilled and have that moment, I mean, you need that clarity to be able to appreciate it for what it is.
And I'm going to go out of my scope for just a second and talk about, like, the alcoholic and addict mothers and fathers that are still in their addiction. And, like, don't think for a second that it's too late. Don't think for a second just because you missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 birthdays, blah, 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 whatever. Like, I know mothers that the kid was 15.
Yeah.
You know, kid was 20, kid was, you name the age.
Yeah.
And the relationship that they mended was mended. Now, I also know mothers and fathers that relationship isn't mended.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just that part of life that, like, what can I do with that going forward?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And something that I can't remember what made me think about it exactly, but, like, everything in life is a lesson or a blessing.
I like that. And I agree with it. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
So, like, it's like, what can I learn from this problem that I have, right? Dude, every single problem I have is an opportunity to seek God more.
Man, that reminds me of old Jocko Willink, where he's like, oh, did this fall apart? Good. But you're right. You know, hey, I'm getting kicked in the head. That's okay. Draw closer to God. Man, that was, first of all, not out of pocket. That was great. And that's what we're looking for because, you know, this isn't us taking addiction out and examining it with the mind. This is us speaking to someone who's in the throes of this. Yeah. And that's important. And I want addicts to find hope. I want them to be able to say, I can have those relationships. God can bring You're right. Sometimes relationships are just where they're at, you know, but you never know what God can do. And he is a God of restoration. So speaking to that, I think we've talked about your addiction a fair amount, and we're kind of working towards the other side of that. What disciplines, I wrote down spiritual disciplines, but just in general, what habits and disciplines did you put into place to really give you that leg up? You know, how are you applying these habits and your faith in a way that keeps you clean? And, you know, what's that look like?
So for me, I wake up in the morning and there's 3 must reads. I read a daily reflection from an AA app. I read something that's called 24 Hours a Day that gives us a thought for the day, a prayer for the day, prayer. There's one more I can't remember. And then I dig into the NA just for today as well. And so that's where I start that's where I start. And then I do the 3rd step prayer that I said earlier, the 7th step prayer, the prayer of St. Francis, the Serenity Prayer, and Our Father.
Okay.
Right. And there's even like moments of like meditation in between them where like I'm praying for what the day is to be.
Right.
And I also pray for those who I think who are just on my mind.
Yeah.
Um,
Let me ask you, because I think we all have our prayer lives, and I know there's been things where I've been like, my example I always give is like my wife, and I don't know why it's always like when I'm getting ready. Maybe I'm grumpy in the morning. I don't know. Maybe I'm just pissy when I wake up, but it always feels like it's my morning shower when this happens. But I'll do whatever. I'll put my foot in my mouth, and I'll be in the shower praying on it, and I'll get that feeling like, maybe you should apologize. Maybe, but I have noticed an impact. I've noticed if I'm in prayer about something, and affirmations, I think are something that's you going to God and saying, hey, use me as a tool. Hey, keep me focused, keep me walking with you. How do you feel like that really affects your day-to-day life? Because I think people, especially when they don't feel like God sees them, that their prayers don't have power. But I know that they do, and I would love to hear, how you feel like those prayers really affect your life, and do you see that effect?
so like I like analogies, and for me, like when I say these prayers, it's like stretching before a big race.
I like that analogy.
You know what I'm saying? Because
that's good stuff.
I'm not just gonna. All right, let's go. If I want to, I don't want to pull a hamstring.
Yeah.
I don't want to twist my ankle. So I'm gonna stretch a good bit before I get my day started, and that's what my prayer life does for me. So that if I just got done saying, my Creator, I'm not willing that you should have all of me good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defect of character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. Amen. I'm taking my character defects. I'm saying, God, take these away. So all of a sudden, when the wife gets a little lippy,
as wives do sometimes.
As wives do sometimes.
As they do, right?
My character defect to punch back isn't that. It's, you don't know how she slept. You don't know what she was thinking about before she went to bed. You don't know everything that's going on in her head.
Yep.
So like maybe you could just respond kindly instead of reacting.
It was a little preemptive grace.
Yeah.
I number one, totally agree with that.
And one more time.
No.
Don't do it perfectly at all.
Yes.
There's all foot and mouth all the time. All the time.
Well, that's encouraging because I walk into that trap constantly. Wife gets sleep. I try to do good, but I agree with you. I think it tills the soil. You've already got it on your mind. You're already speaking, and there's power in that. God tells us that there is power in our words. There's power in prayer. So highlighting that, I think, is massive, so important. So let me ask you, how do you handle temptation now? Because that doesn't go away, especially when we're dealing with something like addiction, especially when you get into the alcoholism, I think is one of those as well, but you get into like heroin or methamphetamines or even cocaine, or, those are the kind of things, then I would say alcohol too, you always have a taste for it. It's there. You know what I mean? So how do you handle that temptation, and what's that process look like now?
I hate that to you, but no.
No?
No.
Okay.
No. I kid you not.
Okay.
Kid you not. In my 7+ years, I wouldn't say I've been tempted.
Wow. Okay.
I would say that's not necessarily true. How to put this best?
You're killing it so far. So however you deliver it.
So like, here's the thing: is that, and this is not the most normal situation. Everyone's alcoholism and addiction and their recovery journey is different to everybody. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I don't know why, but when I came, I bought into what they were saying.
Right.
And what happened was like I just grew more and more and more and more in the program.
Okay.
So like the closest thing I ever had to like a real temptation, I was on a beach trip with my family. And we were sitting there playing Jenga, big old blocks. Everyone's laughing, having a good old time. And my brother takes a swig of Dos Equis lager, puts it down, and the sun hit it just right. And like
That
I
bottle's
did
looking
it, and
tasty.
you know what the thing is like there wasn't a word that
Right.
came into my mind. It was just all thoughts.
Right.
And it was just like all the thoughts were like, without even saying the word, it was like, that looks good.
Yeah.
That's not what I thought. But I knew what part of my
Those
brain
receptors were
exactly.
lighting
My
up.
brain was like, grab that right quick, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, once again, that's not the same for everyone. Like, there's people who have years of recovery and then they get tempted and then they go back out.
Yeah.
There's people with 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. I know someone had 32 years.
Yeah.
Went back out.
Yeah.
And so the reason why I can say temptation hasn't played a large role in my life is because I'm in the middle.
Okay.
I don't get to the edge. And what does being in the middle mean? Being in the middle means I go to meetings. When I'm asked to be of service, I say yes. I have a sponsor. I have a relationship with my sponsor. I called my sponsor before I came here.
Oh man, that's awesome.
And he was like, I was like, what you up to? I was like, well, I'm about to go to place. It's cool, man. I thought and I should have said this at the beginning, and maybe we can do this. To anyone who's upset that I am speaking publicly about Alcoholics Anonymous, like this is kind of against the rules. I prayed on it, and I thought if this can help somebody, like I'm gonna do it. And one more thing about that. If in a year or 2 or 3 or 4 I'm a drunk in the gutter, it's not that AA doesn't work, it's that I stopped working for AA. Like everyone's like, does AA work? It's like, no, it doesn't work. You work it.
Yeah.
Like this is, and just with your faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus doesn't work if you don't put the work in for it. If you don't,
it's just inert, it's not going to do anything.
no. If all I do is come to church on Sunday, oh Jesus, and then I just leave and that's all I'm doing. That's not going to be enough.
It's not the same thing.
It's not.
Well, I think that you answered the question. The question, of course, is being, how do you handle temptation now? But it sounds to me like you know where your recovery happened, and so you stay there, and that's where you're at. And so to avoid, I know that you don't personally feel tempted, but I think that the skill you just presented is a major factor. So if I'm an addict and I'm worried about temptation, if I stay in my steps that I know are working and I stay in a place that I know is clean and that's working, I can stay there,
And just real quick, well, temptation may not be an alcohol thing, but for years, for 7 years now, when I got sober, I was 150 pounds. I'm 200 plus. I've been 200 plus for years. I've been saying, I'm gonna start eating better. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. Guess what happens? I get tempted to get a Whopper, and you know what happens?
Oh man, that
I
food.
I get a Whopper.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to get pizza, and I get some pizza.
Yeah.
And I'll eat a whole box of pizza by myself. Come on now. That ain't normal.
Listen, I got
That ain't what
boobies.
you're supposed to do.
I'm right there. I'm a fellow fatty. Number one, you're not fat. You're in good shape.
I'm trying.
You look better than you're giving yourself credit for. I've got full-blown breastises. I wore this blue shirt on the second episode and leaned too far forward. I went back and watched it. It was like, I got tits. They're right there. So I feel you on eating a box of pizza, man.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't know. It makes sense. Alcoholics Anonymous. It's right there in the name. So I appreciate you being candid and vulnerable. And
I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, like, if you're bothered in any kind of way that I'm being very relaxed with my anonymity and I'm press, radio, and films and internet, this is like part of breaking that tradition. I sincerely do apologize if it makes you feel any kind of way. Just know that I do it from a place of love. I do it from a place of caution. I do it from a place where, like, I did think about it before I did it. And, I do apologize if you feel some kind of way about it. But once again, I did it, and I do these kind of things because I don't know when, where, or how someone's going to hear something that just clicks.
yeah.
And if I said something today that made something click for somebody out there, if it was just one person, I I I will thank God Almighty for that to have happened. And if there wasn't a single person that anything clicked, I hate to sound selfish, but this was another deposit for me.
Yeah.
This is that one more thing that's going to keep me away from that next drink, that next drug.
Rehab, but that's a sticker for a lot of people because rehab facilities are great, but they can be expensive.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, the ones that aren't expensive are full. So like there are a lot of really great faith-based programs, church-based programs that you can stay in and detox and you isolate and they're great. They're great, but they're so hard to get into. You find one and it's 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12-month waiting list and you got to get in line. Whereas a lot of these 12-step programs are accessible immediately. These are programs that you don't have to, go disappear for 8 months to get the full benefit of it. You can start now where you're at. You can start you can go, I'm done with this, and then be in a meeting. You could be somewhere getting help. And I think a lot of addicts don't realize that that's an option.
Yeah.
I think a lot of addicts have no idea that there's other resources. Now, if you need detox and you need rehab, by all means, go for that.
Yeah.
If you know you need that, you do everything you can to get that. You pray, you fill out paperwork, you get whatever resources you need, but you can also go to a 12-step program. You can start where you're at.
I'm not anti-rehab.
Okay.
I'm not anti-psychology.
Right.
I'm not anti anything.
Right.
Whatever it takes for you to find recovery, do it.
Right.
But what I will say is this. If and when you go to rehab, depending on what rehab you go to,
Right.
they can put you in AA meetings. And when you get out, they're going to say, go find an AA meeting.
So
right?
you could already be.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, when it's all said and done with, like, in Carroll County, there's a meeting at 8 a.m., there's a meeting at 12 p.m., there's about 3 or 4 meetings around 5:30, there's a meeting down the road in Franklin at 7, there's another meeting down the road over here close to Villarica at 7. How far am I willing to go for this,
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes people need rehab.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like, intrusive thoughts win.
Yeah.
And when it's all said and done with, like, a meeting at 8 and 12 and 5 isn't enough for certain people. Sometimes they have to be immersed in the rehab scene, and that's fine. That's fine. But when it's all said and done with, like, it is possible to find recovery if you're at a place. And that's the thing, man, is that, like, I wouldn't be passionate about this, which I'm passionate about,
Clearly, yeah.
if it wasn't life and death.
Yeah.
Like, bro, like, I've
It
got
very
friends,
much is, yeah.
I've got friends that have died that I used to drink with. I've got friends that died that are in recovery with me.
Yeah.
Like, and here's the thing is, that list is just going to get higher.
Yeah.
But I will say this. Like, I get more and more friends that walk on this path with me because I'm in the rooms. Because I'm in the rooms and I see that guy walk in. I talk to the guy and say, hey, my name's Alvaro. You new here? Okay, well, welcome. And maybe that guy keeps coming back, and maybe that guy keeps coming back. And I'm not going to say his name, but one of the guys that came in, madder than hell. That guy celebrated 4 years.
Wow.
In July. When I got married, he said, hey, man, I need a favor. Please, say no if this isn't cool. Would you mind if I proposed to my girlfriend? I'm not trying to say names.
Yeah.
To my girlfriend at your wedding. And I said, hell yeah, man.
That's
you
so
kidding me?
cool.
Like, that
Yeah.
would be so awesome. And my wife threw the bouquet back, but kept it in her hand and handed it to her, and he came up with a ring.
That's really cool.
Dude, that's the kind of cool stuff. Like, I would not have met this individual had I not been in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. And had I not, and now we have this bond.
Yeah.
Because we've seen each other go through it, and we're watching each other grow. And, like, this guy, 4 years, and he does more stuff than I do.
Man, that's
This guy
huge.
drives to Dublin. This guy drives to Atlanta. He does a whole lot, him and his wife. And it's like, it's just this thing that, like, bro, if all I did was got sober and then I just like went about my business. You know what I'm saying? If I just like, let's just say that last DUI, I said to myself, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm tired of it. I might have more money.
Yeah.
I might have dedicated more time to studying and getting a degree. Hell, I might have played more video games. I don't know, right? But
That's my poison.
What I do know is that I came back and I came back and I came back and I established relationships. And here's another thing that happened, bro. I'm constantly reminded of how sucky life is in alcoholism and addiction. And that's the beautiful thing about going to the meetings is that like, dude, I can and this is sounds a little cold, but it is what it is. Like I can gain off of your suffering.
Yeah. Well, I tell my sons, I guess I tell my daughter too. I tell my kids.
Yeah, there you go.
I tell all my kids. And it's kind of similar to the point you made with blessings or lessons, but everyone's got a lesson to teach you.
Yeah.
It's either a good lesson, a bad lesson, sometimes both, but everyone's teaching you something.
That's right.
So I think that's a good point. And I can say, you know, and I think you just touched on it so much. I know for myself, like I've got brothers here that are walking this walk and that I can be vulnerable with and I can be open with. And so when I'm struggling or I'm hurting, I can come in and go, hey man, I'm going through this or vice versa. Like I know my brother's going through this. And then like you watch his life progress and you see where he holds true and like these things start to come to fruition and bear fruit. And in a situation like that, where you guys are really coming to something together, that's huge. How high would you value those relationships in your journey?
Massive.
Massive. Yeah.
Because that's the thing that the recovery community gave me was like the ability to be vulnerable.
Yeah. That's so important.
The realization that I can be vulnerable. Like this whole entire machismo, like men are not supposed to share feelings. They're supposed to bottle it all in and keep it moving. It's like, bro, like
that's a weakness.
Why do you think there's so many men that are dying at a much younger age?
It's a trap. It's an all-day trap.
And that's the thing is that like, I don't know what the research is exactly, but I see it all the time that like the people who live the longest, sure, don't eat a burger every day, right?
Right. Yeah.
Sure, don't smoke cigarettes. Sure, don't drink a lot. But it's the people who live the longest are the people that have profound and meaningful relationships.
Yeah. Well, it's that stress and that emotional and spiritual baggage we carry that really that's where that cancer. You know what I'm saying? You sit it down and it eats you alive. And the truth is, a lot of those other things could be symptoms of that. So that's definitely something I wanted to point out. And I mean, that's the point of church as a whole. I mean, truthfully, that's why we have the church.
It's not a building.
It's not a building. It's us. We're the church.
That's
and
right.
we're strong when we come together, not just because we have the same goal, but, you know, like you said, you pray every day. God, use me. How can I be a vessel? Well, sometimes I need you. Yeah. Sometimes I'm in the weeds and the person you're helping when God's using you as a vessel is me. Yeah. You know, and I say this all the time, so people probably, there's Josh saying that again, but when you're in a room full of people who want to be used by God, guess what? God's going to use those people. And if you're looking for God to be moving in your life, guess whose life they're going to be moving in? It's going to be yours. And it adds so many layers because it's beautiful when you share your faith and you share your walk with someone and you get to have those moments. That's massive. So we talked about this question earlier, and I loved your answer, so I'm just going to tee it off for you. What would you say to your younger self about addiction before it took hold? What would you tell yourself?
Yeah, I mean, earlier I said nothing.
I like that. I like your reason why you said nothing.
And the reason why I'd say nothing is because like everything happened the way that it had to happen for me to be where I am. Yeah. Like, you know, there's this like I don't know if you're maybe an epiphany or maybe a realization, whatever it is, but like I have this like, and I mean it, like the best day of my entire life was May 6, 2018. You know, May 6 on 2018, day after Cinco de Mayo, Day after the square,
Right.
I went to my cousin's house, drank some rum and pineapple juice on an empty stomach, got drunk in Cooter Brown, got taken home, then took my dad's work van because he took my keys away, went driving, flipped this van, and man, I was driving, and all of a sudden I was like, oh man, I'm on two wheels. and like since I was so drunk,
Yeah.
like I can remember I was like, oh man. Like it wasn't, oh no, or like expletive. It was,
Damn it.
oh man. And had that not happened, had I not been sitting in jail the next day, had I not been at a place where like I was like, dude, this is enough, I wouldn't have never gone to AA. I would have never showed up to Catalyst. I would have never met my wife in 2020 in a Zoom meeting. I would have never proposed to her in an AA meeting when she gave me my step 3 medallion. We would have never got married. We would have never got pregnant a month later. I would never have my kid. I would never have the blessings and the drive that I have today.
Yeah. Well, I think, God how do I want to word this? God intended for us to learn through faith and obedience, and not necessarily the pig pen experiences, but God tells us that he will use those for our good, and he'll use those for our benefit because he loves us, right? That's the key, is we love him. But the thing is, and I definitely want to hear what you're about to say. The thing is, though, is that when you do go through those things and he flips it and he turns it, he can take what you've been through and put you in a position to touch people who are where you're at, right? God might not ordain for you to get to where you are, but don't think for a second that it doesn't qualify you to minister to someone who's in that exact position. And God wants us to do that. He will take those pig pen experiences so that we can go back to the pig pen and go, hey, brother, I know a better way. Yeah. Hey, man, I know a way out of it. And who doesn't walk into something? Yeah. You know what I mean? Where, you can see throughout the whole Bible, Israel did it constantly. Hey, this is what I want from you. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that. No. You know what I mean? And people hold on to that and go, oh, I'm too dirty to be used. But I think it's so important for people to know. And this segues into my next question. But
just real quick.
Go ahead.
That day isn't profound for someone who doesn't drink like I did.
Yeah.
If it was just someone that on one Sunday I had a little too much to drink.
That's just a bad day.
I took the car out, I wrecked it, and now I may have a problem. For me, it was this is the upteenth time this has happened. This is how much, and remember I told you I was 150 when I came into AA.
Right.
In February of that year, I was 200 or so, and I was losing weight, and I would take pictures to see the progress.
Yeah.
And dude, the guy that's looking in this mirror is not happy.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here in the best shape of my entire life, not happy at all, and it's because this thing that I'm trying to make my life better and happier, which I'm trying to get in better shape so I can get better women, right? Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to go out to the bar and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Not happy at all.
Yeah.
Not happy at all. Because when it's all said and done with, I wasn't aware of it. But dude, you are drowning in self-pity and self-loathing, and none of this will ever be enough. And the reason why it will never be enough, because it wasn't supposed to be enough.
Yeah, you're right.
Not never was that was looking good in the mirror be enough, or some woman gonna be enough. None of that is enough if I don't have God. If I don't have God first.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Nothing, and the Word tells us that nothing will fulfill us, man. You go back to Solomon in Ecclesiastes, he just paints that picture so well. He tells you, it doesn't matter if it's substance, money, women, pleasure, professionalism. You could enjoy your craft. You could be a painter. Even that, none of those things are going to fulfill you the way that God will.
Anthony Bourdain. The man went around the world eating the best food in the world and said, I don't want this.
Yeah.
Once again, I don't know anything about Anthony Bourdain. I don't. So I might be speaking out of pocket here, but how is that not enough?
No,
and I'll tell you exactly, it's not enough because it isn't the one thing. Like I say it from time to time. Like I had a hole in my heart.
Yeah.
And I was trying to fill it with all the sex, drugs, and alcohol, and food, and pornography, and this, that, and the other. Dude, that's a God hole.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be putting God there. So the more crap you put in there, the deeper that hole gets, and it's like this paradox where like the more you put in, the deeper the hole gets.
Yeah, well, you're right. You're 100%. You know, when you get in, you start to realize you're turning that volume knob down. You're digging into these things and filling yourself with stuff that I say separates you. God's never. It's us. We're running the other way.
Right.
But you're right. The further you step away from Him, the bigger that hole is.
Yeah.
It really is It's just a black hole of bleakness. It's brutal. So I kind of want to change gears here. Part of the request wasn't just addiction, but it was also how it affects family members. Yeah. Do you feel comfortable speaking to that a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. So my first question, looking back, what signs from your family helped you acknowledge your addiction? Was your family a part of it going, hey, this is a problem, this is a problem? Did you have to ignore them? Were they a part of it? How does that?
So every member of my family, like brother, sister, mother, father, every one of them, like in their own way, from their own perspective, told me about my drinking.
Right.
For my sister, at the time, she owned 1, 2, 3 restaurants. And like when I would see her at 10 p.m., 11 a.m., I was like, oh man, because she didn't know what her little brother was going to do, right?
Yeah.
When it was my brother, it was like, bro, again, bro, like what's going on? Like you good? Like what do you got? What blah, blah, blah. From my mother, she it's funny, like we were talking about low points. I'm gonna try to be quick about this. But my lowest point was actually when I was 15 years old and got arrested for the first time for bashing mailboxes. And
That's a good time.
Yeah, I tackled them. Not baseball bat, like I was drunker.
Yeah.
Real drunk. And was tackling mailboxes. I get arrested, and my mom the next day, just like I walked throughout the house, and she just came up behind me, crying and screaming and yelling. And I didn't have a word for her, because like before alcohol changed me.
Yeah.
Like before alcohol, like I was a kid that like was worried about getting in trouble. Like I don't want that, not because like I was a good kid. I just didn't want to be in trouble. I didn't want to suffer the consequences.
Yeah.
But when you start drinking, all of a sudden, like, it's just part of the course. I mean, it just is what it is.
It is what it is, yeah.
Yeah. So when my mother, she would always talk to me, and she would talk real slow and try to get me to, Mom, just speak. Just say what you got to say. Like, it would piss me off because I'd be hungover. It's like, just say it.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize was that she was fighting that personality that she has, where all she wanted to do was yell and cuss me out and tell me how bad I was messing up. And she was using her prayer life, and she was using her faith to keep praying for a son who she thought had no hope. And as far as my father's concerned, it's like my father was like a lot of my brothers. Like, hey man, just have 6 beers, man.
Yeah, don't overdo it, bro. Man. Just dial it back a little bit.
And once again, my brother and no one knew that like when I have 1 beer, it sets the phenomenon of craving off. 1 is too many, 1,000 is never enough. You know what I never said to my drinking? Not never. Did someone say, hey, you want a beer? You want a shot? And I said, no. That never happened. Never. Never did I say, I've had enough.
Yeah.
I will pass on that shot. No, never. And it was every single family member. They all did their best. I had an aunt who had a boyfriend who was in Alcoholics Anonymous, said, hey, you should come to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I said, hey, God's in there. I don't believe in God, so it's probably not going to work for me. And that's the thing is, like, there's a saying, or I hear something in Alcoholics Anonymous all the time, and they say, man, I wish I'd have came here 10 years ago. It's like, dude, if I would have came to Alcoholics at 22 years old and not 32 years old,
you wouldn't have received.
I'd be like, man, these old SOBs, they ain't got nothing for me.
Yep. If you're not in a place to receive, that's an old pearls before swine. Sometimes you're the swine. Sometimes you can't use those pearls. Yeah. I think that's an important subject because sometimes we see people who are in an addiction who don't see it that way. And I know everyone's family life is different. You know, some people are in addiction because of their family life, you know, so I know that's relative. I know that can change, but I know I've personally known quite a few addicts where their entire family's screaming, hey, red flag, sign, please stop, please look. And so I think that's important. And then also just being that family member, because a lot of people are going to watch this episode not because they're addicts, but because they have an addict that's important to them, you know. And so knowing you're not alone in that and that it's a process, you know. That being said, how did your addiction affect your relationships? How do you feel like your family, you know, did it erode? How did it really affect your relationships?
Yeah, it just they weren't good. You know, my father was constantly lecturing. It was constantly, you know, just trying to find a way to get to me to say like, hey, like what you're doing isn't right. You know, for my mother, it was somewhat the same way. You know, and they're just crappy relationships, man. Like I don't like it. It's just. Yeah, and here the reason why they were crappy is because like I can tell you I love you all day long, right? But what actions am I taking that show the love that I have for you?
Yeah.
Because if I loved you, I wouldn't make you worried every time I go out to drink.
Yeah.
If I loved you, I wouldn't call you just when I need something. If I loved you, I wouldn't like do the things that I was doing. And yeah, and it's for a family member, and let me say this too. I'm a family member who has alcoholics.
Yeah.
And I see certain family members that I wish they would come with me to a meeting.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm a little bit too close for that to happen.
Yeah. Sometimes they won't take what you're saying seriously. Sometimes you can't get past what's going on. Yeah, that's a really important point.
Let me tell you something that's really important for an alcoholic or even an addict.
Yeah.
An alcoholic and addict needs to grow in honesty.
Yeah.
They got to be able to lie a little bit.
Yeah.
Say a few little lies here and there and get to a point where you can be a little bit more honest, a little bit more honest, a little bit more honest. But with a family member, it's like, bull crap. I know you. That's bull crap.
Yeah.
For a stranger, they'll be, oh, really? Uh-huh.
Yeah,
uh-huh.
they'll
and
ride the ride a little bit.
3 or 4 months later, but hey, you know what? Actually,
you're a little full of duty, man. You might, yeah. Well,
so that's important. So I think that's something that family members need to be aware of. It's just like it's to say that there's a right way to do this, to say that there's a wrong way to do this. It's just not. It's not that simple.
Yeah, there's not a cookie cutter stamp solution. Yeah,
and there's not like because like. For instance, there's a common saying is like, I know his dad loved him to death, right? Literally loved him, and now he's dead because, you know, couldn't say no to his son, right?
Yeah.
But with me, for instance, had my parents kicked me out at some point when they could have, because as I was a Latin family, you know, it's not a big deal, or it's not it's not uncommon for sons and daughters to live with their family for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
You know, but like there were so many times where like, bro, like no, this is enough. Get out.
Yeah.
And there would have been plenty of people that would have been like, yeah, you should have done that.
Right.
But that didn't happen. Right. Tell a quick story.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna try to be quick about it.
No, you're good. Here's the thing, and I'll disclaimer this: if this goes too long, me and G will just cut it, and I'll film a separate intro, and we'll just keep it moving. If we gotta 2-part this, we will. On that note, you can edit this out. What's our time look like now?
An hour 30.
Oh, we probably will have to.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, tell the story because this is great.
So look, there was a farmer in China.
Okay.
Okay. And he had a radish farm.
Okay.
Yeah, one horse helps him pull the plow to get the radishes.
Right.
Horse runs away. And town people come to, oh my God, you're screwed, dude. Your horse ran away. Horse said, yeah, could be bad. Who knows, you know? And so sometime later, horse comes back, but has like a whole flock of horses too. And overnight, the man becomes the richest person in the town because livestock is huge in that town. Folks, the town people, hey man, that's awesome, man. You made it, dude. Well, could be good, could be.
Yeah.
So all these horses come in, right? And there's just one bucking bronco, but he's just a stud. And the son says, you know what? I'm a radish farmer, but I'm gonna break this horse in. Son gets on the horse. Horse throws the kid off the horse. I said that wrong, but you know what I'm saying. Paralyzes the son.
Yeah. Yeah.
Town people go, oh my God, this is terrible. I mean, that's your legacy. What are you gonna do? Yeah, could be bad, you know. So then, I forgot to mention that this is in 1930 China, and Japan done invaded China, you know. And the army comes and says, hey, we need every able-bodied man to come to fight Japan. They come up to the former son. I'm sorry, but he's paralyzed.
He's not
You can't
able-bodied.
go. You
Can't
can't
take
go.
him.
All the sons go, die in battle. That's the end of the story. Could be good, could be bad. Why do I bring this up? Because when I see someone love their kid and they just won't give up on them, could be good, could be bad.
Okay.
When I see someone say, you know what, you're out of here, get the crap out of here, get your stuff, I'm tired of dealing with you, could be good, could be bad.
Okay.
So it's just this thing where it's like you pray on it, you talk with other people, you get advice, and here's the thing is, careful who you get your advice from.
Yeah.
Don't just get your advice from a coworker over here.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, blah 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 blah. Like for a real quick plug for Carroll County Mental Health Advocates, give them a call.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Call 911 and say, hey, this isn't, no one's being hurt. This isn't a violent situation, but like, this is what's going on. They send, a unit that's specifically for mental health. Yeah, wellness checks. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's so many ways that it can be done. And like I said, it's just like, it's not easy.
So what you're saying is you're not necessarily advocating one method over another as far as being a family member and dealing with an addict. You're saying that you've seen it be successful both ways. Correct. And the truth is what really gauges an addict's success is their willingness to walk the walk and to really do it. And
it also has to do with like on like relationships as they are. Like let's say like my dad and I like fight, not like I don't like you, Dad.
Yeah,
I don't like you. Like that's like if we're fighting, then maybe this isn't the best environment for you to be in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on every single situation, and there's no cookie cutter way. Absolutely.
Well, I think that's a really good answer because it actually helps me with this is me coming in as a layperson, and I think that your perspective is huge because there's so many things that we do want to speak in, and as family members of addicts, we can feel helpless and lost. And you're like, well, how do I even approach this? So that, while it might seem vague, is also hopeful because it doesn't necessarily mean, number one, that you're hopeless or that you're doing it wrong. You can take a step back, and I think it's important to gauge where they at and be pragmatic about the situation you're faced with. Yeah. And I think that's important. And your mom's faith is something that you touched on that I think is also really important. Yeah. And, sometimes you can be supportive. Sometimes you got to pray your kids into what they're in. Sometimes you got to take a step back and go, all right, you got to fall. Sometimes you've got to hold them and go, I love you. We'll walk through this together. Yeah. So I'm glad that you said that because, that pragmatism is important and the experience is important. So I appreciate that. So I'm trying to think about how we want to go about this because I've got a lot of stuff here, but I think you've touched on so much of it, man. Your perspective has been so powerful, and what I really want from this is to give someone hope who's in addiction, someone who's actively lost and feels like they're not good enough and like they can't make it to the other side. And, I'm grateful that you came in and you were willing to be candid and vulnerable. And I really think you did a good job speaking to that. I really do. I got some notes for first family members of addicts, and I kind of want to spit them out and see what you think about them.
Sure.
And then I've got a couple notes to addicts specifically, and I want to throw those out and see what you think about it.
Sure.
But for time's sake, I'm gonna kind of bang these out, and let's see how they land.
Sure.
For families, it's a difficult situation. It's hard, and it's easy to feel powerless. I've got a couple steps here that I think are useful. And like I said, speak into them. The first one I got is anchor yourself in God's truth, especially before you try to rescue someone. You cannot pour out of an empty cup. You have to apply who God is to yourself and your faith before you try to rescue someone. Because if you're in a position of being empty and you're in a position of not taking care of yourself spiritually, it's easy to get quagmired in the depression and the darkness of the situation. So I think starting there's a good start.
What does a flight attendant say in case of emergencies? Put your little mask on
Right.
first, then help somebody else.
Man, I like that.
I can't. If I'm putting the mask on you before I put it on myself, I'm
Yeah.
in trouble.
Yeah, I like that. That was a good example. And you're right. And that's I think huge. If you're not able to feed yourself, you're not going to be able to feed anybody else. The next one is love them without enabling them. And that's massively important. And sometimes that takes experience. I know for myself, and it's different because it's not family members. One of the best barometers for this has been offering solutions instead of resources. Hey, I know I'm caught up in this addiction, but my water bill's about to get cut off. I need $40 for that water bill. Well, do you give them $40 or do you pay that $40 on their behalf? You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by not necessarily that situation specifically, but what I mean is if you offer someone a solution, like, hey, I'm going to be homeless. Well, I know this rent, this place where the income's based off what you make. This is a real solution. Well, are they interested in that or they start piddling around? That's important because you can gauge, well, are they still choosing their addiction? Are they really looking for real resources?
Right.
A pearls before swine situation. Is this something they're going to use? So love them without enabling them if you can. You don't want to be a part of the addiction.
Sure.
Let's see. Release control and trust God with the outcome. I think that one's really important. And that one's hard as parents, as children, as friends and loved ones to watch someone going through something like that. But when it's someone isn't ready for it, sometimes you do have to take a step back and just pray and trust God to walk with them. It might not always go the way you want, but it takes discernment to realize I'm not doing any good here. And be willing to take a step back.
There's and this sounds dark, but there's times where an addict or an alcoholic will pass away and the family, there's some relief. Because like this person just wasn't able to find hope. And when this person is hopeless, it makes the family hopeless. And that's the thing is that like for years I was hopeless.
Yeah.
And at some point, I was able to find hope in the rooms of AA.
Yeah.
And that's not this. And another disclaimer: AA is not the only way to get sober. NA is not the only way to get sober. Celebrate Recovery is a thing. Getting heavy in a church, like I know some people that say, you know what, like AA wasn't for me, but I go to church on Wednesdays and Sundays.
Yeah.
I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's like, bro, if that's what it takes for you to have this relationship with God that you need. So that, like, instead of thinking to yourself, man, I want a cold beer, or man, I want to take a hit of this when I get off of work, it's thank God I get to go home to my beautiful family.
Yeah.
Thank God I get to go home to this 1-bedroom apartment with no windows, because I'm warm.
Yeah. Well,
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Because there's something like people like be grateful for what you got.
Yeah.
Dang it, man! Somebody said it the other day. They said, don't be grateful for the things that you want. Be grateful for the things that you have.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Or it's something along the lines of
Well,
something along those lines. But like, dude, like thank God for what you got. Like,
Yeah.
don't sit there like, man, I really wish I had a bigger house, or man, I really wish I had a bigger TV. Like, bro, thank God for the TV you got. Thank
Yeah.
God for the wheels that you got. Thank God for the for whatever it is that you have, like find ways to be grateful. And you know what I've never seen before?
What's that?
I ain't never seen someone be mad at grateful at the same time.
We talk about that. I don't think cognitively you're capable of it. The same spot in your brains, you got to pick one.
Can't do it.
It's a literal cognitive tool when you're pissed off, depressed, wherever you're at.
Yeah.
If you start throwing some gratitude at it, your brain's going to have to shift gears because it's using the same spot.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah.
I had something that was in my brain, but it'll show up in a minute. It'll probably show up when I'm driving home. Another one that I thought was huge was find your own community of support. And I think that's important for two reasons. One thing that we didn't mention that I think is huge, and it's kind of the antithesis of this, is getting away from the group that got you in it. You have the group that you're using with, you have the group that you're partying with, whatever. Sometimes finding that freedom is realizing you can't do both. Bad company can corrupt good character. And when you're just starting that journey of finding that good character, you can lose it in that bad company you already have. And on the flip side of that, like you've said, I think you've highlighted this principle very well when you've talked about the fellowship and the camaraderie that you found in the program. That's universal no matter which direction you go. You use any program, or like you said with the church, you're going to find brothers in church. Yeah. That's a part of it. I think that fellowship is massive. It seems like you agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this thing is like none of the friends I used to drink and drug with, they're not friends anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not that like I'm better than them and they're down here and I'm up here. It's just like, dude, we don't see things the same way. Yeah. It's just not a thing. And I know people that like try to keep their old friends and like I get it, like I understand like they've been your best friends since blah 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 blah. And I'll be honest with you, like that's kind of not my situation because I didn't make that tight of bonds when I was drinking and drugging because a lot of my friendships were like somewhat surface based.
It was
based around the drinking and the drugging, and it wasn't profound. Now it just so happens that I have two cousins that I drank and drugged with, and they're cousins that I love to death, and I'll still hang out with them. But like that other circle, like as much as I did love those guys, and I love those guys to this day. Yeah. It just still doesn't occur to me to call this person up. But hey, man, what are you up to? Yeah. Guess like, what are they up to? They're probably at the bar having a beer, watching the game. It's like, that's not what I'm trying to do.
That's not my scene anymore.
This is not.
Yeah. I think that's one of those that's again, I'm on the outside, so as I'm doing this research and finding it, I don't want to say in the dark, but it's very much a layperson. But that one I know is massive. Another one that I saw that I thought was great was look for small signs of hope and celebrate them. If you're constantly looking for it might happen, like your case, you found sobriety, but someone like your mom who had faith, to really sustain yourself, sometimes you got to grab onto those small victories. Hey, he's been clean for a week. Hey, he made this decision. Hey, he dropped this friend because he knows he's not a good influence. Sometimes you got to take the encouragement where you can get it. Sometimes it doesn't start with, hey, they're clean now. You have to be realistic about that and not take small signs for end all be all. But I think it's important to grab victories where you have it and encourage yourself. And it goes back to pouring out of an empty cup. Yeah. When you're engrossed in if it's your kid, you're engrossed in that, no matter how you cut it.
So small signs of hope, I think, doesn't necessarily lie in the alcoholic or the addict that you're dealing with. Sometimes it's in yourself. And sometimes it's when, like, for instance, kid just got caught robbing a convenience store, looking at some hard time, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's tough. That's tough. And what can I do? Oh, my God, he's going to go to prison. No, it's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to pray today. Yeah. I'm going to pray today, and I'm going to thank God that he's still alive. Yeah. I'm going to thank God he didn't kill nobody.
Man, you just highlighted that so well. That's so good.
And here's the other part. Let's say they did kill somebody. Let's say they did die. Let's just all these things that let's say. Thank God for the son I had when I had him. Yeah. Thank God he can't hurt anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like there's once again, there's always an opportunity to get closer to God. It's just that perspective, and it's by no means easy. What I just expressed is not at all an easy thing to do.
Well, I think it was so much better a personification of what that means, though, and that's why you're in here, because you can take that process and the reality of that situation to a place that a lot of us can only think. You know what I'm saying? And so that's huge, and it is dark, but it's also powerful, because you're right. Sometimes when not everybody makes it out of this. You're right. It really is life and death sometimes.
Absolutely.
Man, I appreciate that.
And even more so with this daggone fentanyl, bro. Like, it's like, that's the thing is, man, like, my time was from like 1999 to like 2018.
Yeah.
Like, dude, meth got huge
Yeah.
right when I got out of high school. The opioid crisis got big in the teens, and like, dude, I promise you, if I would have had friends that were heroin addicts, if I would have had friends that were meth addicts, like, that's what I would have been doing. It just so happened that my friends drank beer, smoked bud, and snorted cocaine. Those were my friends. But I promise you, if I had run into some friends that like we do heroin,
a lot of times, that's the unfortunate thing too, is a lot of times, like I've got a lot of friends that have been sucked into it, and especially the friends that I have that got sucked into methamphetamines. I don't know why. I don't know if there's a reason for that. I've just an observation. A lot of them did start when they were younger, and a lot of them either were vulnerable or they knew someone that was vulnerable, and they had a house that was just unsupervised, and either it was run by an addict or nobody was watching. They became addicts, and then they really are in groups. And you think that's your circle, you think that's where you're at, and then you start playing with that dragon, and now you're trapped.
okay, one meth war story.
Okay.
I was doing cocaine one night, and we ran out. I said, let's go to this friend's house. We go to this friend's house, and I snort another line. And I go, man, that burns. And then I do another line. I said, man, that burned too. And then I do the last line, and I said, what's going on with this coke? Why does it burn so bad? Like,
Why is it spicy?
son, that's meth. I said, oh, man. So, like, all of a sudden, my leg's doing this number, right? And so I had a cousin of mine called me up. He said, hey, man, what are you doing? I said, nothing, hanging out. I ain't slept the whole night. It was like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. He goes, well, I'm just joined a fast pitch baseball league. I want you to pitch to me in a batting cage.
Oh, I bet you were hell.
I threw a tailing fastball that he wasn't able to hit. He wasn't able to hit it. And then it was my turn to bat. I'm like, bing, bing, bing. So then it's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And somebody's like, hey, man, we got some bud. You want to come hang out? It's like, yeah. And wait till I tell y'all about my night. So I get to their house. It's like 4 or 5 o'clock. And just like that, like, I felt like I had a fever. And I felt like someone had kicked me in the mouth. Because I was probably doing this.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I wasn't as crazy about meth after the come down. But, like, once again, had those been the regular people that I hung out with, there would have been some more to like, you didn't feel good? Here, this will make you feel better.
Let's bring you back up.
Yeah, let's bring you back up. And then it would have been 4 or 5 days straight. And then it'd be like, you know what, man, those are an amazing 4 or 5 days. All those cool things I did in those 4 or 5 days. Didn't even have to sleep. That was amazing.
That's crazy. Well, that's how it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's exactly how it sucks you in, man. And I know there's a lot of people listening who appreciate that you were, because it's those kinds of things where you can go, I know where you're at. I know where your head's at. Where they can go, this guy gets it, and he got on the other side. It makes a difference. Yeah. It does. Okay. The last one for the family was keep your hope rooted in Christ, not in circumstances.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's applicable to everything, but especially something like that, where the circumstances aren't necessarily static. And they can, like you said, you're drinking and driving. That could be catastrophic in a moment. Or same thing. No matter what you're using. So not relying on the circumstances to be your barometer, but trusting in Christ is going to give you that strength to stay the course and not lose hope in that situation.
And that goes right back to like the whole entire situation where my son did this, my daughter did this, like this happened, that happened, this happened. Like if I can look at that perspective and just try to get the best out of it. Once again, not easy.
Yeah.
But it's just like this belief that, you know what, everything's going to be okay one way or the other.
Yeah. I like that radish story. I feel like it did a really good job highlighting that. I'm going to use that
Sure.
later. I'm going to steal the crap out of it.
It's a good one. And by the way, it's in an episode of Bluey.
I
It's
like
in an
some
episode of
Bluey.
Bluey. It's in the second and last episode of season 3. Literally, Bluey and Bingo, and they're all going to move out, and they're moving to a new house. And like Bluey's like, we're going to move. And the teacher's like, here, let me read you a story. And she literally reads the story that I just said. So
Bluey's full of gems.
season 3, episode 52, I think.
Dude, that's good stuff.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
That's that dad life right
Yes, sir.
there.
Yes,
I
sir.
like it.
Bluey
I'm right
is-
there with you.
Bluey's legit.
Yeah.
Legit.
Yep. Look, my son bought a pair of Bluey like lounge shorts. I was like, I might need to get me a pair.
Hey, Puffin Rock.
Puffin Rock.
Puffin Rock on Netflix.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
I'm telling you. It's good
Okay, that's some good dad advice. I'm gonna take that. So I got one more list of, you know, like I said, doing research and trying to find, because I'm not an addiction specialist. I'm not a recovery specialist, and you know, these things are my attempt to reach out and help. But I want to get your opinion on him and see what you think. So if you're an addict and you're trying to gauge, like, hey, where am I at? What do I need to do? You know what I mean? I think this is a good place to start. The first step, which I think is going to sound really familiar, is acknowledge the truth. You can't do this alone. I think that's huge. Like you said earlier, you know, realizing that power of craving and where you're at, and realizing, hey, you can be helpless to this. I think that's a massive step towards, okay, I'm ready to get clean.
Yeah.
The next one is cry out to God in honesty. I think that one's in line too with the 12 steps, you know, and that's applicable to no matter what you're going through in your faith. But I think this is one of those reasons that the 12 steps is such a good vehicle, because starting in these two places, acknowledging the truth and crying out to God in honesty, that's not just a good cognitive tool. That's the gospel. You know what I'm saying? In a nutshell, that really is.
I actually remember step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our life over to the care of God as we understand Him. That's step 3. Step 2 is came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. I can't believe I couldn't remember step 1. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, bro, like in step 1, that's the only time they say alcohol. In step 2 and step 3, it's already making some profound statements like, bro, quit acting so daggone crazy, come to believe in a higher power. Yeah. And I'll tell you, man, I don't know how many times I've heard someone like, I had a real problem with the word insanity. It's like, bro, you want to know a definition of insanity that I freaking love? It's not the repeating the same things, but I hate that one actually. But the one that I love.
That's what I was expecting. I'm not going to lie.
That one. The one that I love is not being able to tell the truth from the false. That's insane. So, like, I can't tell, like, bro, it's like, this is normal. Not true. Like, it's okay. It's okay to live in squalor. Not true. It's okay to not be able to pay bills because I've done picked up another sack. That's not true. No, and that's the thing, is that, like, in the middle of my addiction, in the middle of my alcoholism, like, I gotta do what I gotta do. I gotta do what I gotta do. But that's not true. I gotta steal this over here to get what I need because I need it. It's like, not true. None of that's true, and that's what's insane.
Man, that was such a good explanation. I'm glad you're here, man, because you're adding so much insight to this. Man, that was a good answer. Thank you. The next one is find a safe person to tell. Find someone in your life that you feel comfortable with. This might sound counterintuitive, but if you're employed and you're having trouble, your employer is actually, if you go to them and say, you got an HR department, hey man, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to cocaine and I can't balance this anymore. I need help. They are obligated
That's right.
to help you.
Correct.
You know? But not only that, you can tell a pastor, you can tell a friend, but taking that responsibility and admitting it to someone and having an outside source tag in and help you, I think that's huge.
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, it sounds like that research wasn't bad. Okay. The next step would be to connect with a recovery group immediately. And I think that's important, like we talked about earlier, a lot of people don't even know that's an option. You know, they think AA, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not drinking. That's not relevant to me.
Yep.
Or, you know, even just knowing it's there, because rehab is such like that end all be all that people are just focused on that.
Yeah.
Finding a recovery group could really be the thing that starts you now.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's the thing, is that like there's NA, there's Cocaine Anonymous, there's anonymous groups that have stemmed from Alcoholics Anonymous, and when it's all said and done with, it's the 12 steps.
yeah,
In every single one of them. So it's like, bro, like insert whatever it is that you need to put in step one to make the rest of this work. And that's the thing, is that like I understand that there's a need to be in a room and hear someone tell your story.
yeah,
I understand that there's a need for that. I really do. But when it's all said and done with, man, like what got me into the room is not that important.
yeah,
What keeps me in the room is what's most important. And what keeps me in the room is that, like, bro, I have hope if I'm here.
yeah,
Like I can extend, or I can be a part of a community.
yeah.
And this community wants nothing from me but to see me clean and or sober.
That's a big paradigm shift too, because
Because the people that we used to hang out with, they needed something from you.
well, that's what I was going to say, and I don't mean it to be disparaging, but the truth is that so often addiction comes with a need to use, and I don't mean using your choice, but using the people around you, because
Transactional.
yeah, it becomes
Very
very
transactional.
transactional.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of that culture, and unfortunately that process.
Yeah.
You know, so that's huge, man. I'm so grateful you're in here. Let's see. Remove triggers and make practical changes. That's something we've already touched on. And I know that triggers for you were different, but I think that final part of it, you know, the practical changes helped you remove the triggers in the first place. I think that's huge.
Well, this thing is, like, I didn't have temptations, but I stopped going to the square.
Yeah.
I didn't have temptations, but, like, I wouldn't go down the beer aisle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there were things that I did that, like, the reason why I don't have temptations is because, like,
You removed them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, how am I not going to think about beer and liquor if I go to the bar?
Yeah.
How am I not going to think about drugs and alcohol or drugs if I'm going down the street where my drug dealer lives?
Yeah.
Take another route. Oh,
Yeah.
it's the quickest way. No, take the
another
scenic
route.
route. Well, do whatever it takes for you not to think like, oh man, I remember I used to ride down this road to pick up my sack. Like, no, go another way.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's huge. And that's one of those things, you know, we were talking earlier about making concessions for your habit, you know, and not whatever the habit is, but
Yeah.
when you build those mechanisms into your life, you're setting yourself up to fail. It's almost like I keep touching on this one, but I think it's so relevant. It's something I've struggled with and had to get past. But you take pornography, right? You start fighting that fight, you know in your head, like, I want to do this, you know? And so everything else is a delay in action. Well, okay, so I'm tempted with this. Yeah. Am I going to get on social media or am I going to distract myself? Well, I get on social media and I start scrolling through Instagram, you know, what am I doing? Am I distracting myself, or am I waiting for a booty video to pop up so I can just go ahead and dip in?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. If I know my drug dealer lives on this road, oh, it's the fastest way. Is it? Or I mean, it might be, but you're making concessions. Yeah. You're setting up pitfalls for yourself because you want to use.
That's right.
And so having the discipline to go, I have to make practical changes to keep me out of the places, environments that tempt me. Yeah. If I'm never in a place to be tempted, I don't have to worry about what I'm going to do when I am tempted. Mm-hmm. I like that. I really do. Okay. That's a really pragmatic approach to that. The next step is to build a daily routine of prayer, scripture, and connection. And I think your entire time here has most assuredly, you know, solidified that point, sure. Truthfully. How important would you say that step is to your original sobriety and your continuing sobriety?
It's like making a deposit in the bank. It's like,
I like that.
Oh, there prayer, there's deposit. Went to a meeting, there's deposit. Another alcoholic called me, or another addict called me and is struggling right now. There's deposit. Went home, went to bed, and reflected on my day and how could I have done better. There's deposit. So it's just like, so what ends up happening is, okay, tree falls on your car,
Right.
right?
Oh, gap insurance.
Gap insurance. You know, I can sit there and I can be mad about it, and and let me tell you something. If I'm not making all these deposits, dang, I want to drink.
Yeah.
You know what would make me feel better? A little puff of some weed, man. That'll calm me down after what happened. You know what? I deserve it. You know what I'm saying? But because all these deposits are made, I can say, you know what? The tree fell that way, could have fell this way, fell on my family.
Man, that's
Man,
huge.
2 weeks later, I got to a four-way stop, made a complete stop, pulled out. Someone hit us. A week or two later, I can't remember exactly. It was not long afterwards, and my brother sent me a text. He goes, "Man, I hope your luck changes soon." I said, "Bro, that tree could have fell on Courtney." And here's a stop. She came and bam, right. What if I'd have came here just a little bit sooner, and I'd have been here? Well, guess what? Me right there, Anna Grace right there.
Yeah.
You know how guilty I would have felt
Yeah.
if Anna Grace would have got hurt? Because I would have said to myself, I should have checked more. I should have looked more. If I'd have looked more, it wouldn't have happened, blah, 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 blah. And let me tell you something. All the deposits I make, I'm still probably going down that road. Am I going to drink or drug over it? Probably not. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. You know? But at the same time, it's like, if I make the deposits that I need to make, I get back to that place of gratitude. We're like, let me get real dark
No, no,
for
no,
you a second.
yeah.
Let me get real dark for a second. Anna Grace dies in that wreck, right? How can I look at that and be grateful at all? I mean, grateful that I had 2.5 years of the most beautiful little thing that I've ever seen in my life. Wow. That's not easy.
Wow.
It's not easy.
That's something that's true no matter what situation you're in. So many of the principles that and experiences that you're expressing, like I said before, they're not just relevant to addiction recovery. Those are poignant examples of how we should apply our faith no matter where we're standing. Yeah. And you're right. And the thing is sometimes the world is dark. Sometimes that kind of stuff does happen. And it's fitting that you bring it because that's something we're not afraid to examine here, and it's important. And you know, like I said, that's not just relevant to addiction. That touches everyone. I appreciate that. The last one I got, take it one day, 1 hour, 1 minute. Don't look at the whole picture and go, man, this is a mountain I got to climb. You focus on right now. And if right now is too much,
Him, it is broken right now. And the reason why it's broken is because it's a me problem again. It's a me problem again.
he's always waiting.
Now, here's the beautiful part about it. It just so happens that I might have someone's phone number that I can call, and their conduit is just fine. That connection is just fine, so that when I'm not enough for God, God put people in my life that allow me to get back there, right? Because this thing is like God can sound a whole lot like Alvaro every now and again. He can sound real. We can sound real alike sometimes, and that's when I know like I need to make a phone call, and whether it's my sponsor, whether it's Ben, whether it's my dad, whether it's my brother, it doesn't matter who that person is, But sometimes there's that need for me to lean on my brother. That's where I find God. I find him in my brother
I, that's
and or sister.
yeah, that's such an important point. And again, it's one of those that it's a principle that's universal, and it's something that I've talked about. Like, I've been struggling with a lot lately. We've had some legal stuff, and we've had some like health stuff, and just family stuff, and having guys like Will or Ben or Mike, or like there's these guys here that are ready and willing to love you and have your back and keep you on the straight and narrow. Like, man, this is where my head's at. Well, let's line that up against Scripture, man. Is it because you're right? Does God sound like Josh today, or does God sound like God? And I'm not paying attention, and. That's huge, and it's not just important for recovery, but it's important for your spiritual walk, no matter where you're at.
Yeah.
So, one more loaded question for you, man, and you've probably already touched it, but I want you to go ahead and articulate it. We're filming this episode because there are people that are actively struggling with this, whether they're family members, whether they're an addict. To someone who is realizing, hey, I've got a problem, and I've got to do something about this. What would you say to that person? What would you give them to give them hope or a direction? Or if you could make a statement to that person, what would you say?
There's hope. And I would think that the reason that person is hopeless is because they're trying to do it on their own. And that's basically what you've been talking about, and like just about the whole last end stretch of this is like the need for community.
Yeah, it's huge.
And that's what church provides. That's what meetings provides. That's what support groups provide. That's what a therapist provides. That's what a husband or a wife provide. But like, I'd like for the most part, most people that are hopeless, they're people who are isolated.
Yeah.
And the thing is that like, once again, it's like I didn't even know. Like when I was talking about how I'd go to the bar and then go other places, like I did not know that I was practicing isolation right then and there. I didn't know the truth from the false. So it's just it's God's timing, man.
Man, that's awesome.
And that's like, this is what it is, and we just gotta thank God for the times that we happen to get one that sticks with it.
That's
and this is and that's the thing is, man. Like for instance, I hate to bring this up, but like we used to do a recovery meeting like a few years ago.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that like 1 in 10 people or so deal with like alcoholism.
Right.
So let's just say it's something like that in addiction, right? So that's 1 in 10 people. 1 out of those every 10 people, how many of those actually want to do something about it?
Yeah.
That's probably another 1 in 10. So you're talking about probably maybe 1 in 100 people like in a church are an alcoholic or an addict that actually want to do something.
Yeah.
So it's just tough for a church that's 500 or 600 people. You're talking about 5 or 6 people that come to a meeting, and let's say someone's sick. Okay, now it's 4 people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I truly hope and wish and pray that one day there is a strong recovery community here that can meet together and talk about how Scripture can go into our recovery, that can go into the rest of our lives. And that's the thing is that like it boggles my mind how often I hear Ben speak and he doesn't have to say recovery for me to think about recovery. And he'll say 12 steps, and he'll say recovery, he'll say alcoholic, he'll say addict, he'll say all these things, but he doesn't have to for my brain to click and for me to realize like bro, when it's all said and done with, we are talking about, do you want to tap into this power or don't you?
Yeah, it's a choice after a while. Not to say, and I do want to say this now that I said that exact phrase, and it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I do want to articulate it. All too often people say that addiction is a choice, and then you hear people say it's a disease. I move that it's both. It always starts with a choice inevitably, but it is a disease. But what you just said is, again, I mean, I know I keep saying it sound like a broken record, but that's true in your faith in general. It always is a choice. What am I going to, it's a moment by moment, second by second. What am I going to do with this? Do I want to be clean? Do I want to walk with the Lord? Or do I want to do what I want to do?
Do I want to be angry?
Yeah. Do I want to be angry? Do I want to be proud?
Do I want to be jealous?
Yeah. Yeah. Do I want to covet my friend's wife? Do I? Yeah. I mean, absolutely. It is a second by second. What am I going to do with this? Am I going to follow what God says? Or am I going to say what this other guy says? You know?
Because I'll tell you something, man, like, sometimes being angry feels good.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes cussing somebody else feels good.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. But it's just like, once again, like, it's kind of that thing where, and I hate that I'm talking. You're trying to wrap this up, and I keep talking.
No, dude, I'm okay with it. I think
So,
everything you've given us is a gem. If it's long, it's long.
Let me tell you something, man. Like, if I wake up in the morning and I have eggs for lunch, then I have chicken and broccoli eggs for breakfast, chicken and broccoli for lunch, and then let's say white rice and steak for dinner, whatever, right?
Right.
Yeah, some of that was pretty good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But let's say I wake up and I have a bacon sausage, egg and cheese biscuit. I love that. Bacon sausage,
Who doesn't?
egg
Right.
and cheese, right?
Right.
And then I have a burger for lunch, and then I have a pizza for dinner. When I had that instant gratification of that, oh man, this tastes so good, right? But when I'm laying up in bed at night, oh my God.
Listen, they hear me burping pizza up on this thing constantly. I burp pizza up every other episode.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
Now, opposed to that, to like what it was like having egg whites and the chicken and broccoli, like that's like, what's your fuel, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are you putting in your body, right?
Yeah.
And that's what like a life in faith is. It's like, what are you putting in?
Yeah. Yes.
And what you put in
Wholeheartedly.
is what you give out.
From the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Yeah.
Jesus tells us, if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off. Your left eye. Well, that's what he's saying. What do you put in front of your eyes?
Yeah.
And that's such a universal principle that is integral to our walk. It's integral to our discipline and our ability to, because we're called to be set apart, and that's true whether you're an addict or you're just Joe Schmo. That's a universal principle. It's funny how many of these are just. I think this is why addicts make some of the most beautiful believers. Some of the believers that I admire the most were addicts because that path. I've heard someone said that addicts are already set up to put something on a pedestal. They're already set up to put up on a throne. So imagine how good of worshipers they're going to be when it's the Lord on that throne.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
When he who's been forgiven of much loves much.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why we wanted to do this episode. And I specifically want to speak to people. I know people feel dirty. They feel isolated. They feel unusable. They feel just, they're not good enough. They're quagmired in this place where no one can understand or see them, and they're alone. Or you're a family member watching someone you love go through this, and they're being poisoned, and there's not a lot you can do. There is a lot that you can do. There is a direction. There is a path, and you don't have to be alone. There is hope. I think your message is, I agree with it wholeheartedly, and I hope that this conversation highlights that, because you bringing your personal experiences and being vulnerable, you're speaking to things that most everyone can't. I can't speak to these things. I don't have the equipment. I don't have the experience. So I'm really grateful that you took the time and you were candid and you were open and low-key broke the rules for us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because we don't know who this is going to touch. And I know that in our congregation alone, you're right about the numbers. When you look at, you got 1 in 10 people are addicts. You got 1 in 10 addicts that want to get clean. You take a population of 500, you go, okay, you got these many addicts, these many want to get clean. That means you've got so many of them flapping in the wind.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of them that are just stuck and quagmired. And if that's you, you don't have to be. There's hope and there's a path forward. And, truthfully, we'd have the numbers for exactly what you talked about. I know there's enough people here that are addicts that could fill that niche. But are you ready? Are you willing? Are you going to do, like you said, am I coming here just for Sundays? Am I showing up for Sunday and I'm getting a fill up and then I'm going out and doing what I want? That's true for addiction too. It's a universal, what are you going to do? I appreciate you guys. I know that this episode ran over and it was longer. This is our longest episode to date, but it's also our realest episode. This is our most spirit-led and candid episode, and I have no doubts that this is the most powerful episode because this is a real problem. Like, you know what I mean? This is, people like to give you bubble gum. God loves you. God loves you. Everything's going to be okay. But not everyone's okay all the time. And sometimes we have to be willing to take these deep, oppressive things in our life and take them out and examine it and apply our faith to it. And I've said it over and over and over and over and over again, but this really is a vehicle not just to sobriety, but to a stronger faith. And Catalyst is lucky to have you. We're all lucky to have you, man. And I appreciate your perspective and your vulnerability, sincerely.
Lucky to have y'all. Once again, I am not the person I am today had it not been for the growth that I experienced, not just in the rooms, but in Catalyst. Like, there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of sermons that like that hold dear in my heart. Like one of the most important sermons I've ever heard. It was like July 22nd of 2020.
Wow.
And it wasn't actually that day. But let me tell you, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Ben said the most important day in the history of mankind is July 22nd, 2020. And I said, what happened today? And he said, July 22nd, 2020 is today. And today I can do something. That's what makes it the most important day in history.
I like that.
That sermon sticks with me, bro. Because, like, to this day, like, the most important day in history is today. Because today is like, what can I do that's going to propel me into tomorrow?
There's so many gems in that. I don't even think you're right. And I like that. That's a gem to tuck in, man. It really is. Yeah. So I think we are going to close. It's getting close to my bedtime. My wife's going to jab me in the head.
Yeah.
If you guys made it this far, there's a couple things I want to plug. G's going to bang this out. So Cat a Day is coming up. Please come out for Cat a Day. Please come out, see what we're doing. You get a firsthand look at the ministries. And, you know, I think having Mr. Alvaro here, dude, I'm blown away by what you've done for us here. But the whole church is like that. I mean, you jump on any team, you jump on any group that's out here, you talk to anyone here. What makes Catalyst special is that this is a place that really does want to host the presence of God. This really is a spirit-led place that just wants to love the world. And we really are focused on the 86%. If you guys don't know what the 86% is, it's the unchurched population of just Carrollton.
Yeah.
And it's an astronomical number. And, you know, to boldly claim that's what we're after, well, that's the kind of church we are, you know. So come to Cat a Day. And then August 23rd, it's a Saturday. It's 5 to 7. We're doing worship encounter, not worship. My wife's going to punch me in the head because I say worship like a bat. She calls me a Yankee. Apparently my dad's a carpetbagger. Okay. Makes me a Yankee. That's not the point. Come to worship encounter. Please come check it out. It's really, we've done one similar thing before, and it was cool to just come in and praise God and worship and have, it's like a concert where you get to love God and enjoy some music. I think that's huge. That was episode 8. I love you guys. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, G. It's definitely past your bedtime. I hope Angie and Ben don't punch us. On a school night? You're a trooper, bro. Everyone thank G when they see him. I love you guys. That was episode 8. Bye.